Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it's the imperfect one, King Cruz, along with the last man standing, Christopher Hart, bringing you the Jabba Jack.
Just when you think you've got all the answers, here we come, the King for Culture. And we're live! Thank you for joining us here on Jabber Jab. Again, I'm Christopher Hart. This is my partner,
King Cruz. How you doing?
Today we're going to be talking about a lot of the things in the wrestling world that we find interesting. Storylines, kind of talking about where we take things and give you an outsider's perspective on the wrestling biz.
That's right. Any perceived notions you might already have, just let all that go. We are not journalists. We are not anything like that. Anything in the media. We are fans. So right now I want to start with Monday Night Raw, Legends Night.
Oh, man. Talk about Legends Night.
There's a lot of things I want to get into with this. Favorite part had to be Teddy Long.
Definitely Teddy Long. Being you talked before this, Teddy Long got the pop. He came out, and as soon as that Mac Militant came on, I went nuts. You know, good to see him. Good to see he's doing well. Again, obviously the big pop was when he announced that Miz and Morrison had their match against The Undertaker.
That was the best. I mean, we all knew it was going to set up a tag team match. The writing was on the Raw.
Mm-hmm.
You had the New Day. Miz and John Morrison was going to be a tag team match. But it was a good throwback to have Teddy Long announce it was going to be against The Undertaker. My gripe with Legends Night is the Legends did nothing.
Sure.
Outside of Teddy Long and a couple segments backstage, you saw Melina. She got a rose, I believe, from Angel Garza.
Alberto Del Rio, number 2? Yeah.
Yeah, that guy. You see Mark Henry, he gets yelled at by Randy Orton. You see Ric Flair, he gets involved in a match. Per usual with Ric Flair.
Yeah.
But other than that, it was cameo night, and I disliked it completely.
Yeah, I agree with you. Cameo night was a big thing. It was basically they just pop in for a couple of seconds, get their face shown on TV, kind of remind the world that they're there. And then, like you were saying, you had Mark Henry, you had Ric Flair, you had Big Show there. And it kind of felt like it was Randy Orton beasting on the people that he delivered the punt kick to. You know, trying to reinforce his title as the Legend Killer.
Honestly, I would have rather him been the Legend Killer and actually taken out every legend he's seen backstage. Rather than acting like a mean girl and just yelling at everybody or degrading them.
You can't sit with us.
I want an RKO to every single member that was back there.
That would have been good.
I would have ended the night with him punting multiple legends and then cut to Ron Simmons just saying, "Damn!"
Damn.
And that's how I'd ended
The 21 punts salute.
I'd have ended the night right there.
I like that. That would have been a very decent ending.
But not to cut you off, but let's just dive right into the elephant in the room. Goldberg.
Oh, Goldberg. I'm not gonna lie. He came out. I sighed. I rolled my eyes. I grabbed my Drew McIntyre sign. I started chanting with the rest of the crowd. I'm not excited to see him there.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't put on a good show anymore, in my opinion.
So, as people should know, Goldberg signed a contract. He gets at least 2 matches per year. That's part of the contract. And Royal Rumble starts the road to WrestleMania. We can always expect him back at this time. A horrible idea, putting him in the ring with Drew McIntyre, who, by the way, it's only a few days into 2021, and him and Keith Lee possibly had a Match of the Year candidate on Monday Night Raw. Free TV.
Yeah. He came out, and I agree. Him coming out and getting in Drew McIntyre's face, like he said, was just anticlimactic. Like, as soon as you saw him, you knew what it was about. You know, it wasn't like, hey, I'm here, I'm going to make this big surprise, I'm going to congratulate him, happy 21 or anything like that. You knew when he came out that he was going to throw his nose into a title picture. That's all he gets. There's no, so to speak, climbing the ladder for him. He's already at the top of the ladder, just waiting to claim a shot every single time. I don't like that part.
So he comes out, makes a strut to the ring. grabs a microphone and talks about Drew McIntyre not being respectful to the WWE legends.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I guess what's being said was the match ran a little long. What was supposed to happen was Claymore, 1, 2, 3. McIntyre cuts a promo about the legends, and he's supposed to say something disrespectful. I'm not sure if they're going with the heel turn, which to me would be dumb.
Yeah, not a good idea.
Both of your champions being heels, I don't think is the best idea. But Goldberg comes to the ring, grabs a microphone, talks about how McIntyre has no respect for any of the legends on the stage. McIntyre then goes on to say, wrestling you would be like wrestling my dad. And then proceeds, after putting on a classic with Keith Lee, a monster in his own right, gets shoved by a man in his 50s.
Did yours cut out?
Yeah.
Okay, I was like, because as soon as Goldberg shoved him, it cut out and it went to whatever program was. Oh, it went to the BSR Steve Austin show.
Yes. Shout out to Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah.
Yeah. So after he gets shoved, the extended clip, the director's cut, McIntyre stands up and is supposed to give the Glasgow kiss, the headbutt, to Goldberg, but no one sees that. Much like if we go back into the 90s where Shawn Michaels was supposed to super kick Bret Hart into the wheelchair and cut off on live TV, you didn't catch it. Segment ran too long.
Only this time we have WWE on Instagram and Twitter and everywhere else that can
so
give that extra love.
It'll be edited back in. So your fix for the lowest ratings that WWE Raw has seen in 10 years is to bring in Goldberg. I have so many issues with this. One, he cannot perform quite like he used to. Some might even say he could never perform. It was all smoke and mirrors and the wrestlers he was put in the ring. And if you're going to put him in the ring with Drew McIntyre is going to do the job. He's going to carry. Bray Wyatt, he already ruined that gimmick by beating The Fiend. Are we going to allow him to beat Drew McIntyre?
I see that, yeah. So, I really don't think he's going to win at the Rumble. I hope to God they don't put the title on him and then make his second match of the year a WrestleMania headline. He's already headlined his WrestleMania. He doesn't really need it. You know, you got somebody like Drew McIntyre who's never headlined Mania as the champ. He won the belt at Mania.
Against Brock Lesnar.
Which, right after the match, if I remember correctly, you proceeded to have to defend it against the Big Show, which is completely fucking random. Are we allowed to say fucking on YouTube?
Yeah. Censored.
Anyway. We'll edit that out. Completely random. And then fast forward to a year later, he's on top. Why cut him down and give the belt to Goldberg? Goldberg has nothing to gain from taking the championship other than collecting a paycheck, which he's doing anyways.
So, Royal Rumble, he's going to walk to the ring. It's going to start with security knocking on his door. And it's a favorite entrance of mine, I'm not going to lie. Mm-hmm. It's so simple, yet it works. Knock on the door, he storms out, he's followed by security, walks to Gorilla, walks to the ramp, inhales the smoke while the sparkler's going off. He's going to blow it out, punch, kick, and he walks to the ring. That takes about 5 minutes. Outside of that, he cannot perform a long match. He was in glorified squish matches in WCW, but for the character, it worked. His 157-day streak, it worked. You put him in the ring with The Undertaker, almost killed him. You put him in with workers, it's not going to work.
I agree. Especially at this point in his career, Goldberg should be reserved to working Crown Jewel and those lesser known or less popular pay-per-views. Don't put him in a big title match. He's not that caliber anymore. It's good to see him. It's good, hey, put him at Fan Access. Let the old fans and the kids get his autograph, take a picture with him,
By all means, keep him on contract.
Yeah, but don't stop putting this man in the main event. You have so many up and coming talents that it's kind of a slap in the face to Drew McIntyre, especially like you said, he just had that 4.5, almost 5-star match with Keith Lee. Keith Lee and him put on a clinic, and they're not even veteran. Well, McIntyre's a veteran, but Keith Lee's not even a veteran of the business yet.
You mentioned a slap in the face, Drew McIntyre. I'm not going to say it's a slap in the face, Drew McIntyre, because his name is going to be billed right next to Goldberg, which, again, Hall of Famer in his own right. It's just a different time now. It's a slap in the face to every superstar in the back who are now being told that a 50 plus, 54, however old Goldberg is, legend is taking their spot on one of the big 3 pay-per-views. I mean, the original big 3 was Royal Rumble, SummerSlam, WrestleMania. Big 3. Mm-hmm. And here comes a guy who's done nothing all year. Nothing. And he's going to walk into Royal Rumble and get a title match. I'm expecting fully to see him at WrestleMania. Probably for a title match because he was on WWE.com talking about Roman Reigns was next. Mm-hmm. So, does he lose to McIntyre and then go face Reigns at WrestleMania? Does he beat McIntyre and fight Reigns at WrestleMania for a unification belt? Are we really... Is that the message we want to send to guys back? I mean, you got Mustafa Ali, who's in a horrible retribution angle. This group has not been used correctly at all.
At all.
You have Ricochet along in that horrible storyline. 2 guys right there underutilized. You have Aleister Black nowhere to be found on Raw or SmackDown.
Yeah.
You got so much talent back there that it's...
I was digging his snake angle that he had going on with the patch. And
I had no problem with that. Honestly. It was something. Because that guy can go. Put him in the ring. He can go. But it's a slap in the face to everybody backstage that's being told, bust your ass off. Make your storylines work and we'll give you something later on. When he can just walk in and take a title match.
Definitely. How long? Do you remember how long his contract is for?
I thought it was for 4 years.
So for the next 4 years, he could play this game if he wanted to?
Yep. 2 matches a year. Which, like you said, I'd send him to Saudi Arabia, absolutely.
Yeah.
Would I have him in the Royal Rumble? In the match? Absolutely. But in a title match? No. In a marquee title match against Drew McIntyre? Absolutely not.
No.
Him and Brock Lesnar, it worked at WrestleMania. And Brock Lesnar bumps. I don't care what anybody says. Brock Lesnar, if he's in the ring with you, he's going to bump for you. He's going to make you look good. That match worked. It was physical. They were barely in the ring. They were outside the ring most of the time. Goldberg speared them through the barricade at WrestleMania.
Yep.
But inside the ropes, you're going to put him in there with McIntyre. McIntyre's going to make him look good. But to have any type of marquee match, no, I would not put him in it.
Well, I mean, flip other side of the coin. Do anybody really expect Goldberg to get McIntyre up for the jackhammer? Like, I guarantee you, if it's going to be Goldberg finishing the match, it's going to be a spear. Because I honestly don't think, unless McIntyre does one hell of a jump to get vertical, he's not gonna be able to get him up for the jackhammer and hold him there. It'll be the quickest jackhammer in history.
After Goldberg almost dropped Undertaker on his neck,
they probably banned it.
I would tell Goldberg not to do it. Yeah, to me, he had, outside of Rhino's gore, Goldberg probably had the best spear. And I'll give credit to the people who took the spear. Mm-hmm. I remember him hitting Chris Jericho, and Jericho looking like he folded in half. Christian took it awesome. Give credit to where credit's due. Those guys sold it, but I still think he has the best spear.
Definitely.
So I would allow him to finish the match with that. But that's saying he's going to get the belt from McIntyre, and I'm not ready to run with that. But the way he treated The Undertaker and almost dropped him on his neck, which I get it. He was I believe he was concussed in that match.
Yes.
The match should have been called, but like men, they're gonna finish it out. They're gonna close out the show. Dangerous. I wouldn't have done it. I'd have called an audible. But I would definitely not allow him to do that to Drew McIntyre, who is my future of WWE. I mean, I'm thinking back in early 2000s when Vince McMahon dubbed him the future of the business. This man is a star.
Had him training directly.
Had him training directly, yes. And then, yes, he leaves and comes back, and he's a huge success. It worked. He is the man. Next to Roman Reigns right now, he is that guy. I would not allow him to take anything unnecessary that I would trust he wouldn't be back from. A neck injury, yes, you have Goldberg for 2 matches a year. He's going away. I need McIntyre on the road 300 days out of the year.
True. Yeah. And that's one of the other. I mean, sorry to branch off, but going to this whole having him on the road 300 days a year. This whole having the Thunderdome, having the fans, I believe, has given these guys a lot of life back. Now that they can pre-tape stuff and kind of not have to spend every week 2 days a week there. You know, they can hit their 2 days, Monday, Tuesday, record, get out and enjoy their lives. I'm starting to notice that these guys are traveling, they're doing things on their own. So props for that one. Going back and fixing some of the issues that a lot of wrestlers have complained about for many, many years. So I do like that. Anyways, getting back to Goldberg and Drew. I really just want to see a good solid 4 or 5 star match. If as a fan, if you're gonna put Goldberg in that match with McIntyre, and that's the thing, is they'd have to be damn certain that Goldberg's gonna deliver that kind of product, because if not, you're gonna be relying on McIntyre to carry the whole match, and it's just gonna look like a weak finish.
Now, in all honesty, I'm going to ask you for your honest opinion. Goldberg coming back, how much of that has to do with Sting appearing in AEW?
I would say him coming back into a competing aspect would have everything to do with it. Just because, I mean, you look at it, there's no other names short of Stone Cold Steve Austin, who has been rumored to be cleared for one more match, but probably won't do it. I don't think he's willing to risk his livelihood on getting back in a ring. They'd be foolish to try to keep The Undertaker active after he just announced his retirement. And the only other person that I could see them getting for something like that would probably be Triple H in a break glass in case of emergency type of thing. But even Trips isn't going to bring those numbers back from AEW. Sting's basically where it's at. He's always been the wild card since he left, or since WCW was bought out by the WWE back in the day. You know, everybody for years and years and years wanted to know, when the hell is Sting going to come to WWE? Where is Sting? What is he doing? And he did the independent autograph circuits, conventions. He did all that for years until finally coming back for WWE. And they didn't do anything with him either. They had no idea what to do with him. Mm-hmm. So you bring this guy back who's going to bring you numbers. I mean, I can only imagine the dollar amount they had to pay out for them, or for him.
Right.
But he came back. He could have brought you massive numbers if you had a great storyline with him. And you didn't do anything. You let it go. You came back. You had Triple H beat him in his WrestleMania debut. You know.
Now, from what I've read, a lot of that had to deal with Sting as well. Sting felt if they were going to build to a Rock and Triple H showdown, which that WrestleMania they were setting up with Ronda Rousey and Stephanie McMahon. Sting felt, because he's an old head, I'm gonna do business, and I'm gonna be the one that takes the fall. That's Sting being Sting. They've talked about him being the most unselfish wrestler. Yeah. He was always about business. He was never about himself. So a lot of that had to do with Sting. But in my head, and as a fan, how dare you finally sign Sting to a contract, and you have him debut at a WrestleMania, and you have him lose to Triple H? How dare you? But since we segued with Sting, I'm gonna bring it back to WWE real quick and Legends Night when we were talking about Goldberg. Because I put that out there of how much of Sting debuting in AEW had to deal with Goldberg coming back. Fact of the matter is, Goldberg had the contract. He's gonna come back every year. Vince's reliance, and I call him Vince like I fucking know him. Mr. McMahon, I apologize, sir, if you haven't seen this. Mr. McMahon's reliance on Legends it's well documented. He'd rather have Legends come back. And we should have seen the writing on the Raw because Raw had the lowest numbers it's ever had. It's no longer the flagship show.
No.
SmackDown is. Let's throw that out there right now. SmackDown hasn't been this hot since you had the Latin explosion over there with Eddie Guerrero, Rey Mysterio carrying the brand. You had guys like Batista over there, JBL.
Mm-hmm.
SmackDown hasn't been this hot since then. And now with Roman Reigns leading the charge, he made a main eventer out of his cousin, Jey Uso. You got KO back, who's a great protagonist to their antagonist.
Mm-hmm.
Raw's no longer the flagship show. So what was he going to do? I'm going to bring back a legend. This is some good shit. That's his answer. I'm going to bring back legends. Horrible idea. You have superstars back there that can show out. You just have to let them. I believe his philosophy has never been, I want the best matches. It's, I want the biggest product. And I believe with the biggest product, you want the biggest names. And I think that's where he goes with it. That is my issue with WWE programming right now. Raw especially.
All right, so flip side of that, is there another big name that he could have gotten other than Goldberg, you think, that he has in his pocket at this point?
A big name?
Back? Yeah. Other than Flair, because he was already there, and maybe The Rock.
I'd be afraid of Flair for taking a bump right now.
Oh yeah, Flair.
Flair has survived everything under the sun. I don't think anything's going to kill that man. But at the same time, I don't want to see it either. I don't think he needed a big name. I think they can create one. Keith Lee's on his way.
He is.
He put on a hell of a match. For a big man,
he goes.
He goes. Now, one of my favorite parts of that match was him, I don't know what you want to call it, just a bump. He runs at you and just bumps you with his chest and you go flying. I think Monty Brown used to call that the pounce.
Mm-hmm.
Sent him into the crowd. It would be the crowd. And then it just gave me flashbacks of Adam Cole going five rows deep.
Slammed into him.
5 rows deep in NXT. Keith Lee's on his way. I don't think you needed a big name. You could have created one. But I'm going to go out on a limb here. You could have filled that spot and you still have the ace in the hole, Miz, who does not get the respect he's deserved for how long he's been there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the man doesn't get injured. He's there. He waves the flag proudly that he's in WWE.
Mm-hmm.
Is he the best technical wrestler? No. Can he go? Yeah. You put him in the ring with somebody, they'll go. But he's a hell of a talker. He can carry a program with just a microphone. You had your ace in the hole there, and he's hated. Him and Morrison are hated. Do I think they're funny? Absolutely not.
No, their comic relief skit that they've got going on between them two is just ridiculous. They bumped them back to, what was it, 2012, the first time they were together? You've got, again, Vince spending the money to bring John Morrison back.
And can I say again, another underutilized talent used for comic relief, John Morrison.
Yeah. I mean, this guy, I think I've seen him do maybe one or two Starship Pain since he came back. I mean, this guy is like the king of Parker. I remember at one point in time him climbing the Titantron and jumping off into the crowd. Granted, you do it right now onto the LED screens. That's going to hurt a little bit. Yeah. But
that's not the point.
The guy, he's another one of those old-time stars that can, I don't want to say old-time because he's relatively young still, but he's another one of those veteran wrestlers that can go hard, just like The Miz.
I would like John Morrison to to look in the mirror, ask Johnny Mundo, Johnny Impact, would they have came back to WWE for this? Because so underutilized. And maybe he's having fun and collecting a paycheck. Maybe. Maybe he doesn't care about the accolades, but I think he came back for a reason.
He's definitely using that money to fund Taya's clothing line, I'll tell you that much.
That's subject for another debate. Another guy that you could have looked at Bobby Lashley, who
Underutilized big time.
Underutilized, who is holding a belt.
Which you haven't seen the U.S. title really do anything.
And again,
half-ass match they had.
We're on one subject. I don't want to switch to another, but I will say another gripe I have with WWE programming: belts. Why am I having a pay-per-view where one of my main championships, supposed to be main championships, they're in a tag team match? Why are we doing an Intercontinental title belt, but he's in a tag team match? Why am I having a pay-per-view and this belt's not even on the line?
Mm-hmm.
Why am I having a U.S. belt that's not even on the line? Why is nobody fighting for these? They're just props, and I hate it. But
do you think it goes back to, like, staying on the belts, do you think it goes back to a prestige thing? Because I remember back in the day, dude, if you had the Intercontinental title, you were the man next to the heavyweight champ.
Yeah.
You know? I remember one time Stone Cold Steve Austin fighting for the IC title. You know, when he had the IC strap, he was making money.
And it's relatively known that, all right, the Intercontinental, the U.S. title, it's a mid-card belt. Doesn't mean it shouldn't be sought after. It shouldn't be fought for. And there is no long-term story building for it.
It's
they might be starting that now with Riddle going after the Hurt Business. But the fact that weekly I have my U.S. title or my Intercontinental title in tag team matches rather than singles matches or even title matches.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when John Cena had a mid-card title, he put on the John Cena Open. The U.S. title Open or whatever it was. Cool. At least he was defending it, showing it. I hate most belt holders saying I've held this belt for X amount of days, but they've defended it 5.
6 times.
Yeah, I hate that. That needs to go away. But outside of Goldberg with McIntyre, Bobby Lashley's there, waiting to explode. Get that U.S. belt off of him, put him on a mid-carder, give them some credibility, and allow them to have good matches. Can Bobby Lashley go? Sure, you put him in there with the right guy. Bobby Lashley's a big guy. But he's athletic. That's the appeal to him.
Mm-hmm.
He could have gone. Hell, I'd have gone out on a limb and said, for some odd reason, MVP qualifies. Because MVP's been a great heel since he's come back.
He's been a great heel, but I like MVP in the role that he's in. He's got that, I'm the veteran, I'm going to take you under my wing, I'm going to show you the ropes, and I'm going to help you make something in your career. Which for Alexander, that works great. I'm not 100% excited about Shelton being under his tutelage, because Shelton Benjamin's another one. Overlooked, not used well enough. The dude can throw a hell of a match on. He is technical as hell. He has been since he came in with Kurt Angle.
That's the gold standard.
Yeah. So to go under MVP and say that he's showing them how to run the business right now is kind of out there. But you know what? He makes a good addition to the stable. You know, I've seen it online, and I'm not gonna go ahead and call these guys the New Day, Nation of Domination, because they're completely different. In all honesty, it seems like WWE's version of the Main Event Mafia. To me,
I like that.
That's kind of what it comes off as. You got your guys in suits, and they're basically, they're giving. Excuse me for saying it, but they're giving the black superstars that were kind of overlooked for a while a chance to shine, and I'm behind that because these dudes go so fucking hard.
Shelton Benjamin, one half of the world's greatest tag team with Charlie Haas, can go flat out. And the fact when he got put into the stable, I was actually very excited because underutilized, he was doing nothing.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't tell you the last time he won a match, and I believe when Cedric Alexander got the win for his team, that was probably the first match he's won since he's been back. I can't tell you the last time he's actually had a pinfall victory. Seeing him with tag belts, that's pretty cool. I would love for him to have a singles run at some point, especially on this run that he's on. The writing's on the wall where that storyline's going to go. Cedric Alexander's got a big ego right now. Definitely the shining star.
Mm-hmm.
If we're going to quote-unquote call him the Nation, that's The Rock at this point. He's got everything. He's got the charisma. He's got the moves. So Alexander's going to be a player. I would like to see Shelton Benjamin come out of that as well. He needs a singles run. That's somebody who I'd put the mid-card belt on as well because he can deliver. Mm-hmm. You give him the chance, he can deliver. Another person I'd like to talk about who could have filled that role with Goldberg because I didn't think about it. But the storyline's already there, Sheamus. Now, they could be building that for WrestleMania. A slow build. They could have. And I guess at this point, would I take Goldberg to lose to McIntyre just so we can get to Sheamus later on? Because it's building to that? Yeah, fine. I'll accept that. But Sheamus is right there as well to fill that void if we needed him over somebody than Goldberg.
Yeah. Seeing right now I could see the build for Sheamus. I would say that's at least another 6 months out, maybe for SummerSlam.
Okay.
And my point being is because right now you're building them getting back into the friendship. So you figure the way that the WWE works right now by playing off just a little bit each Monday night, it's gonna take at least till Mania. I could see Sheamus being in his corner. Mm-hmm. But I definitely can't see Sheamus being that antagonist at Mania. So I can see them building up to that and maybe having that just sudden downward fall, like I said, towards SummerSlam.
Okay. I can see that too. But that was just somebody I'd throw out there because right now he's having a resurgence in his career. He's looking good. His matches have been great. His match with Keith Lee to qualify to face Drew McIntyre was legit. Mm-hmm. Those guys threw haymakers and they made it work. Seeing him pick Keith Lee up, that was a sight to see. So he's ready to go soon. But like I said, we're on the road to the Royal Rumble at this point.
Surprise entrance.
Honestly, because they're in the Thunderdome, I think surprise entrance should be kept to a minimum. There's no fans. You're going to lose out on your pop, what you want. So yeah. I'm not saying, okay, fine,
don't have them.
Don't have them. Keep them to a minimum because you're going to be throwing money at people for no reason.
Well, and even then, the typical let's have 2 or 3 legends come back. Don't get me wrong, I love the guy, Hacksaw Jim Duggan. How many times have they brought him back for a Rumble to come in? Ho! He holds up his 2x4 and then a couple minutes later, boom, over the top rope.
I feel so un-American talking bad about him.
It's not talking bad about him.
Un-American.
He doesn't, like you were saying in this aspect, he doesn't need to come back during the Rumble. Again, do a fan access. Let's hopefully shit opens up soon. Do a fan access. Let people get his autograph. I've met the guy a couple times. He's great. But I want to see, as far as surprise entrance, like obviously, I want that pop or that feeling like you did last year when Edge came back. I want to see those superstars that have been off the roster for a little bit make a comeback. Trying to think of who off the top of my head right at the moment other than Edge, but I mean even like you were saying, Aleister Black. Nobody's seen Aleister Black unless you're gonna make him literally job to some of these guys. Have him be like 13, 14 coming in, but having him come back. And again, I think even the Rumble's gonna end up boiling down to probably somebody like Keith Lee. Maybe Orton. I don't see why Orton would be in the championship picture at that point, but.
Right. But can we even have a traditional Royal Rumble under COVID protocol?
I don't think you can.
I mean, are we allowed to have? And now they say a 30-man Royal Rumble where 30 men are in the ring. There's never been 30 men in that ring throwing people over. I don't think I've ever seen it.
Not since the Attitude Days.
Yeah. Excuse me. I don't think I've ever seen 30 men in a Rumble. But again, in a COVID WWE, can we have that? I get they're regularly tested, but is that allowed? Not that Vince cares, Mr. McMahon. But my thing with the surprise entrance, and again, Edge, amazing return. When his music hit, "You Think You Know Me" hits, that instant gratification, the crowd realizing what they're hearing, and then that pop you will not have. So that's my reasoning why I'd be like, I keep it down. Would I get one or two? Sure. Hell, Hurricane, what are you doing? Come on. Sure. But somebody who we know would get a pop, I would hold, which would suck because another year you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But no fans hurts. It struggles. The business is really hurting. The fans really make everything, regardless of what anybody says. The fans are what makes everything real.
Mm-hmm.
You ask Edge right now, would he have come back with no fans? He'd probably say no. Because I can only imagine that walk to the ring while people are just going nuts. That adrenaline rush. These guys have been wrestling for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, whatever. I'm sure they're numb to wrestling. They can wrestle in their sleep.
Mm-hmm.
But that pop when they walk through the curtain, that's a drug that you never get rid of. That's why old timers have a hard time leaving the business. If I were to make my return with no fans, I would be let down. So I'd use the underutilized talent or call somebody up from NXT.
There you go.
That's where I would use my surprise entrance, not anything else.
And that's kind of the other place I was going with it was the NXT angle. Okay, I know he's involved in a storyline in NXT right now, but Adam Cole, having Adam Cole come out in the Rumble and actually sticking it out for a little bit and giving everybody the hope that he was going to win the Rumble. Great addition. Trying to think of who else from NXT. I mean, Dream, but I don't think he's not going to be around for a bit. So,
and I'm a huge
Dream fan,
Velveteen Dream fan of the character. The person we're not going to get into.
No.
So at one point I would have said, hell yeah, have him come out in the Rumble. But right now, jury's out. Pun intended. Adam Cole would be phenomenal. My only issue, and it's going to be my issue till the end of time, NXT is development, and Vince buries anything that comes out of development.
And I hate to say this, but at what point are they going to stop considering it development?
Thank you.
And consider NXT its own brand?
Maybe when development gets their own development, which
aren't they working on that?
They're working on that. NXT is getting its own NXT, which makes no sense to me if NXT's development. It is its own brand, and if you're going to ask me my opinion, it is the best wrestling show. Wrestling. They put an emphasis on their wrestling, not so much storyline. They will have storylines.
Yeah, but
it's minimal. 1 or 2 big storylines, but other than that, it is wrestling matches.
They leave it in the ring. At this point, they have a lot to show for or to showcase. Yeah. So I will say the talent of NXT leaves it in the ring. They go out and go hard. Even I can't think of his name, Cameron with the cowboy hat. Grimes, thank you. He's a decent talent. I'm not a huge fan of his, obviously, but the few matches I've seen with him, him and Damian Priest put on a couple good matches.
Yep. Dexter Lumis. They just had a bull rope match. It was pretty sweet.
Oh, yeah. But he goes out there and he tries hard. He leaves it in the ring. He gives people a reason to talk. I think it's just I can't get behind the character. I've never been.
I get it.
What's that?
I get it.
Yeah, I've never been able to get behind the Cowboys, so to speak. You know, Cowboy Bob Orton, another great talent, never got behind his cowboy gimmick. You know.
What about the Wildcat?
Gotta put me out there like that.
I had to throw one out.
So those kind of get hard to get behind. Maybe it's just because it doesn't match my personality. I'm sure there's a bunch of guys that want to run around the back of trucks screaming "yee yee" that love these guys. So, I mean, it's hometown heroes for them. Yeah, hook 'em horns, whatever you want to call it. You know, I think Jim Ross is about the only cowboy that I can 100% say that.
Shout out to the good old JR. No, I completely agree with you. His character, I think, only works at NXT. I don't see him making it to main roster. Which, again, I'm going to stop using that main roster. I'm just going to say Raw and SmackDown. Those brands. Because, again, NXT to me is its own brand. They put on the best show. Because you're going to sit there and tell me Finn Balor is developmental?
No.
The first Universal Champion who would have held onto that belt for longer had he not got injured. Not blaming Seth Rollins, but I take that personally. Sorry. Well, Finn Balor is not developmental.
So on the other side, you have Finn Balor that went back down to NXT. You've got Charlotte Flair, who for a little bit of time went back down to NXT. Why? You know, I think there needs to be more cross brand. You know,
I agree.
As far as mixing up the talent. Right now, you've got so many people on SmackDown that fit perfectly. But you like Raw and NXT, you could mix them up pretty good. I mean, especially when we just had the draft. There wasn't too many NXT superstars from the draft. It's like they weren't even thought of.
None. Nope. It was Raw and SmackDown draft.
Yeah.
Ratings is what it's going to come down to. Wednesday is the great ratings war. AEW NXT.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. And Chris Jericho will tell him himself, the demo god. He's got the main demographic. The reason why NXT is struggling so bad with that demographic is names. NXT does not have the big names.
Mm-hmm.
AEW does. You know a Chris Jericho. You know a Jon Moxley. And if you don't know him by Jon Moxley, you know him.
Yeah.
So Cody Rhodes, you know him. Young Bucks, hell yeah, you know them. You look at NXT's roster, they don't have the names. So, and again, I say it's its own brand. You need to send names there. I'm sorry, I would have sent AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan to NXT.
Daniel Bryan would be kicking ass
those
in
guys,
NXT right now, yeah.
Those guys, and they wouldn't have taken it as a demotion. NXT, yes. There is talent there to put on a show. And monthly, the NXT takeovers are the best pay-per-views.
Pay-per-views for sure.
Period. AEW, WWE, Ring of Honor, NXT takeovers have been legit. And War Games happens to be my favorite. War Games, the fact that they brought that back is awesome. But they're just missing superstar recognition. Finn Balor went back there, but again, up until his injury, he wasn't that main name. You throw AJ Styles, you throw Daniel Bryan. I would send even Kofi Kingston, maybe even the New Day. If you're going to split up the New Day, split them all up. I'd have a New Day member on every brand. That's how I'd swing. If you're going to break them up, break them up.
Xavier Woods to NXT.
Xavier Woods, yeah. Now, granted, his dream is to be future King of the Ring. I really want to give that to him, so I would keep him. If they're going to call it the main roster, keep him up there.
I'm good. See, I'd be good with him winning the King of the Ring as long as he doesn't do this douchebag King Corbin shit for the next, 3 years. The only person having the King of the Ring title stick with them and worked with is Macho Man. I'm sorry, but that's it. I mean, King Booker was close.
We were about to have a good disagreement here. Because I was going to say, yes.
King Booker was close, but...
The Macho King, absolutely. That was it.
I like the Macho King because he stuck with his own persona, just changed his name to the Macho King. He didn't make this big... King Booker changed his accent. He changed everything about it.
And
just,
that's why...
Just to be King Booker.
And that's why I put him at number 2. Because King Booker deserves that for the change. Now, other people's changes have been dumb, and I think they're trying to replicate that. I think that whole thing, King Corbin, it was trying to, and now he's got the Knights of Corbin or something like that.
You know what? Anytime he comes out, I have to admit I hit the fast forward button.
Once he started wrestling in express shirts, I stopped watching. I can't lie. You wrestle in express shirts or right now jeans, I can't do it. I can't.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Elias.
Elias, you ain't got nothing coming.
You wrestle in jeans, you're killing me. Believe I can't wrestle in jeans.
The only person that can pull off wrestling in jeans right now is Mox, and even his have transformed into the camouflage cargo pockets,
right.
Cargo pants. So
no, I say jeans. I mean jean pants. All right. Stone Cold came out in shorts.
Jorts are a thing, though.
Yeah.
Cena.
John Cena.
George.
Another one.
So yeah.
while we're at
oh man,
NXT, Finn Balor against Kyle O'Reilly tonight. Their first match, instant classic. This match I have high hopes for, but it's a sequel, and sometimes sequels aren't as good. I don't know if you've watched their first match.
I have not.
I'd put that up there.
Okay.
Hell of a match. Probably one of my personal favorites. I'd put it right next to Sami Zayn and Shinsuke Nakamura. Shinsuke's debut at NXT as my favorite NXT matches.
That was a good match.
Great. His debut.
Bring back El Generico, by the way, Sammy. You see this?
El Generico is going to sign with AEW. Calling it now. But I'm a huge Finn Balor guy. I miss the Demon, but I get why they put that on the shelf.
He does. Yeah. You know, I remember we've had conversations in the past about this, about how the Demon was kind of that surreal when he needed that little extra to clear the hump. But right now, where he's at in his career, it's almost like the Demon's like a. If you were to pull the Demon right now, it'd be one off. Yeah. It just is what it is. He doesn't need that persona right now. He's he's borderline Bullet Club in NXT.
He's the Prince. He calls himself the Prince. No, he's not going by.
He's not Prince Devitt, but
Devitt.
Yeah. So he's borderline Bullet Club Balor, and that right there is prime.
Which you say Bullet Club, and I guess maybe that's why I want AJ Styles to go to NXT. Because I don't see Finn Balor going back to Raw or SmackDown yet. But God, if those two
they owe us that fucking club reunion. We won't say Bullet Club because Mr. McMahon doesn't like that. Right. One sweet.
Cease. I get that letter in the mail. They had the the match, because it was going to be an atrocious Halloween match with the Demon against Bray Wyatt, and I'm glad that didn't come to fruition. Sister Abigail. I'm glad that didn't come to fruition.
I'm glad that didn't happen. Bray and Drag wouldn't be pretty.
Oh God. But seeing them too sweet center of the ring, I'm sure it probably killed Vince, Mr. McMahon. But yeah, they owe us. Those two guys, they need to run at some titles. Those two guys together should have been top of the list.
And I hate to say it, again, speaking future angles here, but you have AJ and you have Balor reuniting in NXT. Cole could get in on it too. You have Adam Cole all of a sudden. He that's what better way to turn on the Undisputed Era
by picking up the club.
Yeah, business would be booming at that point. And not only that, I hate to, but this Kenny Omega jumping over to Impact. Sorry to jump brands, but Kenny Omega jumping over to Impact with the Good Brothers and starting a Bullet Club reunion. That's the way to battle that back.
No, we're gonna jump brands. I like this. We talk about them all. WWE, AEW, Ring of Honor, New Japan, bring it on. Kenny Omega showing up on Impact. Good business.
Great business. That's one way to get that brand out of the mud, so to speak.
I'm not a huge mark for Impact. I'm not. I can honestly say I haven't sat down and watched Impact since the X Division debuting. I love the X Division. You had AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, all those guys.
Yeah.
Kazarian, all of them. Kenny Omega showing up on Impact, instant recognition, because arguably best wrestler on the planet. I say arguably because I have my own opinions, but he shows up on Impact, instant recognition.
Well, how many AEW fans do you think flipped the channel on Tuesday?
My point. My point.
Definitely, because I mean, I had to go to work that night, and I think I stayed a little bit later to see what Kenny Omega was going to do at Impact.
Now, did they fool us? Sure, but it worked
Until week 2.
Right, it worked. It did its job. I had to tune in to make sure I didn't miss Kenny Omega, which we all knew it was going to be later on in the night, but you still have to watch just in case. You don't want to be that guy that misses it. Like, damn it, I turned it thinking he wasn't coming out to the main event and he showed up in the middle. Damn it. No, I'm going to sit there and watch the whole goddamn thing. Why? Why does that work for them? And why won't WWE ever do it?
I think WWE will. God forbid it happens anytime soon, but I think it will once Vince McMahon is no longer in charge of the company. We'll say it that way. Triple H has gone on record saying that he is open to working with other brands, as long as other brands doesn't mean NXT. So,
first of all, Triple H runs NXT.
He does run it, but
he just doesn't want Mr. McMahon touching anything.
Yeah. So if after Vince steps away from the business in whatever form that may be, I mean,
let's be honest. Mr. McMahon is not leaving WWE outside of a coffin.
Hopefully the one built by The Undertaker. But Triple H is open to working with other brands. At that point in time, yeah, I can see maybe him. I mean, they're going to have to do something to keep the WWE prominent. I hate to. I mean, if other brands had existed in this aspect, if New Japan was this popular back in the WCW days, Ted Turner could have opened his doors to that. And I mean, I think of watching some of the old New Japan matches, like when Vader was over there, man. And I mean, just the pop that these American wrestlers get when they go over there. No disrespect to any of the Japanese wrestlers, but that in itself could have saved these businesses. Just in the aspect of if New Japan wants, nowadays if New Japan wants AJ Styles to come back and do a Bullet Club reunion out there, pay the company,
right?
Pay the company, throw the contract at AJ.
And now you say no disrespect to those wrestlers, and we mean no disrespect. It's just name recognition.
Yeah.
I popped when. And I don't want to butcher his name, but Ibushi.
Kota Ibushi.
Yeah. He was in the Cruiserweight Classic. I would not have wasted him in that. Now, granted, it was a good concept. But, again, the Cruiserweight division is not working for WWE since Enzo left. But Ibushi, I would have loved to have seen him debut on a Royal Rumble.
Mm-hmm.
I think his name would have gotten that. But that's my opinion. Mm-hmm. But I think you're right. I think Triple H would open the doors. I mean, great business move by Tony Khan and AEW.
Yes.
Allowing that to happen. Because you're hoarding the fans now. You have those diehards that are going to watch TNA. You have the diehards that are going to watch AEW. Together, they're going to watch it.
Yeah. Well, and especially like you start getting some of these guys going from TNA the other direction. Okay. You see the North show up in AEW to challenge, FTR for a tag team match. That's going to get views. That's going to make a shit ton of money, especially if you throw it on the right fucking pay-per-view. You bill it right. What's that old saying? You build it, they will come. You build the right pay-per-view, and fans are just going to roll in. Absolutely. You can't keep them away from this stuff.
Absolutely. And as you said that, if you build it, they will come. My mind thought to WWE did a Worlds Collide pay-per-view. Mm-hmm. God, how awesome it would be if we stopped all this pettiness and just opened up the doors to allow wrestlers to be wrestlers. Can you imagine the dream matches? That's thrown around a lot. dream match.
Not only that, like, yeah, I mean, open the doors, not just to other big organizations, but the smaller ones too. But again, I'm going to revert back to New Japan. Me personally, I'll lose my shit the day Flip Gordon or fucking Will Ospreay comes to WWE, and it doesn't even have to be for a full contracted match. You have Will Ospreay show up and go up against John Morrison or go up against Ricochet. Well, not that we haven't seen it before, but again, you're making money at that point. They might as well just start raining $100 bills from the rafters outside of $1 million man entrance.
I would pay top dollar to see the Gorillas of Destiny, the God, go against the Usos.
Yep.
Us. Oh, that lineage alone, the Samoan dynasty, those teams together.
Mm-hmm.
And now they had a brief talk on Instagram where I believe Toma might have put something up that showed them side by side. It was a cutout, and I believe one of the Usos says, "You want that smoke?" I'd have paid money right there to see the God against the Usos. Not the Usos that are fully painted. No, I want these Usos, the day one-ish Usos. These guys against the God, without a doubt.
Easy money.
Another one. Again, if we put all this behind us, I'd throw money at Kenny Omega against damn near anybody in that WWE locker room. Me personally, be Seth Rollins. Now I say Seth.
That's kind of been building online and with fans for a couple years.
And I say Seth because if I was thinking of a dream match from WWE and AEW, I say Seth and not AJ, just for the simple fact of AJ's journeyman status of where he's been. Seth, as Seth Rollins, was WWE. So him and Kenny Omega, I felt, would be the better. But I'd still pay top dollar for him and AJ Styles. Yeah. As I said, Kenny Omega against damn near anybody, I'd pay for it. Cody Rhodes against Triple H.
Triple H owes him a receipt for breaking that throne. Just saying.
The ball's on that guy. The ball's on that guy. But I mean, there's just so many matchups you could have if we would put all that to the side. But it's not going to happen while Mr. McMahon's alive.
Yet. We say yet.
Yeah.
Fans' dreams.
Right. All right, since we're on the topic of dream matches, what would be one of your dream matches? Past, present, whatever.
My dream matches, see, I'm all for the days of hardcore. Okay? So my dream matches are going to be modern day badasses against old time wrestlers.
Okay.
I'm talking about you got your Al Snows versus your KO.
Okay.
Those kinds of I want guys like that. Granted, I mean KO's not on that insanity level like Al Snow is or was back in the day. But those are the kind of cool matches that I want to see. As far as big name lights or big names on the kiosk and everything.
I'll give you a second to think.
Okay, go ahead.
And I'm going to name mine. And I have two. One has been talked about countless times. People have said it. But I would have loved to have seen Shawn Michaels in his prime. Mm-hmm. We're talking Heartbreak Kid showstopper against the phenomenal one AJ Styles. Mm-hmm. It's been touched on. They've talked about it. Shawn himself has said right now, obviously he wouldn't be able to go. Now with AJ. Not to the caliber he could. But God, would that have been a match. We're talking coming from the rafters, Shawn Michaels. Mm-hmm. That man against the phenomenal one AJ Styles. I think that you put that on any pay-per-view, but that's a WrestleMania caliber. That is a dream match for me. One of them that I would love to have seen. Only in video games now. Will that ever be possible?
Sure.
My other one would be Macho Man, because I'm a huge Macho Man mark. Love Macho Man Randy Savage. I would have loved to have seen him and CM Punk.
That would, yeah, definitely.
Him and CM Punk, I think, would have been would have been phenomenal.
That's kind of one of the ones that I was kind of gearing towards right now would be CM Punk versus Macho Man. Just because at that time it'd be the tale of the elbow drops. Because CM Punk, I mean, he pays his homage to Randy Savage when he does his elbow drop like that, or did. So that would definitely be one of the dream matches. I don't know who. I haven't thought of the other side to this yet, but one of my favorites, Bret Hart.
Okay.
You know, I'd love to if he was in a competition shape other than outside of beating McMahon's ass in WrestleMania 26.
Yeah.
Bret Hart versus one of these young up, but I want somebody that's going to be technical for technical. And I'm not even going to think I'm thinking maybe like because even Sheamus is too big for Bret Hart back in those days.
Yeah.
Sheamus and Davey Boy would have been a good match, but I'm trying to think who has the technicality to go right now like Bret did back in the day.
I'm gonna throw a name out there, and if you haven't seen this guy wrestle, I beg you to watch any of his NXT takeovers. Pete Dunne.
Okay.
The Bruiserweight.
Yeah.
That man is good.
He just doesn't come to mind. Come to mind, but yeah, he's a great technical wrestler. Yeah, I could see that one.
I would throw his name out there. I would even throw Kyle O'Reilly out there. Those are two NXT guys I'd throw out in that.
I'd see maybe, I mean, if we're gonna go with like SmackDown brand, Bryan and Hart would be a good match.
Oh, absolutely.
That would be.
Absolutely.
I think that right there would be more of my ideal. Fucking the American Dragon versus the Hitman.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, that'd be a great match. Definitely one of my would love to see matches. But yeah, I have to revert back to CM Punk versus Macho Man. Obviously, I'm a mark for both of them. So,
if you guys have any requests for dream matches, anything that you would like to see and that you want us to talk about, go ahead and put in the comments below. We'll pick out a few that we like, and we'll go ahead and talk about those matches, how we'd see the outcomes of those.
See you guys next time. Make sure you like and subscribe if you like the product so far.